Welcome to my video class. This is the second class in the sequence. In the first class, we have introduced the basic notion of probability and what is event space, what is equally likely events, mutually independent events, pairwise independent events. These terms and definitions were discussed in the first class, and where we discusses one concept that the basic probability as a ratio of two integers. This is the naive way of introducing the definition of probability, which was basically when the subject evolved in the earliest days by the mathematicians like Bernoulli and Legendre, etc. So they described the probability of an event as a ratio of two integers, where the numerator is the number of events in favor of the condition given, and the denominator contains all possible events connected to the random experiment. So there is a ratio, and this definition is severely restricted because in many cases the number of events in both favorable condition and exhaustive number both are infinity. Okay, whenever we approach some geometric problem, probability in geometric problem, so this definition, that the ratio of two integers, is not acceptable because both the values should be infinity. So in that case, we argued that the concept of probability should be generalized to some more generalized type of sets. Okay, the measure of a set, basically the measure of a set should be generalized from counting measure to some interval measure to attack this type of new problems. Just for example, the Buffon's needle problem or other type of problem. So Kolmogorov put forward in 1933 the axioms. There are three axioms of modern probability theory which are based on the set theory. Okay, so introduce set, and along with that the general measure of the set. The measure of the set can be countable when the set is finite and discrete. So the measure of the set will be countable, the number of elements 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. And when the set describes some interval, the length on x-axis or something like that, or some area on the Cartesian plane, then this measure is a measure of area, measure of interval. So the counting should be replaced by these generalized measures. Okay, whatever be the case, so we will study the probability theory in the light of modern set theory. So we have three axioms. So these axioms are, okay, then let E be a random experiment and SE be the exhaustive sample space connected to this experiment. Then we will have all these three axioms always satisfied. First one is probability of A will be always greater than or equal to 0. Remember, probability of A is always a real number, and for any event A belonging to this AC. So A is any event in the sample space, so probability of that event should be greater than or equal to 0. This is axiom number 1. Axiom number 2 is probability of AC, that is the total event space. Okay, since this is exhaustive, so nothing can be outside this event space, so probability of all event space is equal to obviously 1. And number 3 is if A1, A2, A3 and An are n number of mutually exclusive events, then probability of A1 plus A2 plus up to An should be equal to sum of the probabilities, that is PA1 plus PA2 plus PA3 plus PAn. Okay. Now this plus is basically within this probability bracket. The plus means union. We have already discussed this thing. So when we denote union by plus in case of set and intersection by dot. Okay, so this plus means union of sets. So probability of A1 plus A2 plus An equal to PA1 plus PA2 plus up to PAn, provided A1, A2, An are all mutually exclusive. These are the three events, three axioms always satisfied by any random experiment. For any random experiment, these three things should be always satisfied. These are the axioms of probability. Okay. Now, one thing should be clear. One thing should be very clear in these axioms, that this event A can be designed, can be thought of in various ways according to the need of the problem. Okay, but must be, this A must be expressible in terms of some most basic events connected to the random experiment E. So any random experiment E will have a set of basic and equally likely events which must be also mutually exclusive, and this A can be one of these basic events or any composite events designed on in terms of these basic events. Okay, so this is always true. Now the first results we will deduce from this axiom is that probability of A bar equal to probability of 1 minus probability of A. Okay. How this can be done using these axioms? First of all, we note that A and A bar, these are by definition, this is the complement of A, so by definition they are mutually exclusive. Okay, they do not contain any common point. So probability of A union A bar, that is A plus A bar, same thing. So A plus A bar is equal to, by the third axiom we have probability of A plus probability of A bar. Okay, this plus denotes the addition of two real numbers. So don't confuse with real number addition with this union described by plus. Okay, so P of A union A bar equal to PA plus PA bar. Now what is PA union A bar? Obviously A and complement of A will give you back the total sample space AC. So this is probability of AC, that is equal to probability of A plus probability of A bar. Now what is probability of AC? By the second axiom, that is equal to 1. So 1 equal to probability of A plus probability of A bar. From this result follows immediately. Okay. And then we will again prove one very simple result, but the result is significant, that if A, B are two events which are having some non-zero probability, if A, B are two events which are having non-zero probability, in that case, if they are pairwise independent, they cannot be mutually exclusive, or vice versa. If they are mutually exclusive, they cannot be pairwise independent. Okay, let us show this thing. So let A, B are events belonging to a C such that PA not equal to 0, PB not equal to 0. So they have some probability to happen. Okay, now they are not impossible events. Then let A and B are mutually exclusive. So let A and B are mutually exclusive. That means, what is the definition of exclusive events? They will not have any common point. So A intersection B is null. So probability of A intersection B, that is AB, is equal to 0. Okay. Then, if possible, suppose they are also pairwise independent. If AB are pairwise independent also, then what we will get? We will get again, by the definition of pairwise independent, probability of A intersection B is equal to PA into PB. So this will imply probability of A into probability of B is equal to 0, because by the earlier result P of A intersection B is 0 since they are mutually exclusive. That means we are getting PA into PB equal to 0. But this is a contradiction, because we have already assumed PA not equal to 0, PB not equal to 0. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that if they are mutually exclusive, some non-zero probability is associated to some events AB having non-zero probability, and if they are mutually exclusive, they cannot be pairwise independent. And if they are pairwise independent, they cannot be mutually exclusive. Okay. To elaborate this idea, to have some more clarification, let us solve another problem on that. Suppose two coins are tossed. Okay. So two coins are tossed. Now, what are the possible events? The possible events are HH, HT, TH and TT. So this is our SE connected to the random experiment of tossing of two coins. Now let us define some events. A equal to having head at first toss. So we will have a head at the first toss. There are two coins. Actually, the first coin. Let us denote the coin. Let us denote the coin by C1 and C2. So we have first head at the first coin, not first toss, in the first coin. Okay. So there are two coins, C1 and C2. Let it be denoted this way. And B equal to having head at so having H head at second coin. Okay. And finally C is having head only once. Now let us study the characteristic of these events. So how many events in this sample space will support A? So A will be supported by obviously having H in the first coin. So this one HH. So there is no condition on second coin. Second coin may be head, may not be head. This is not the issue. Only our condition is the first coin should be head. So HH and HT. So these are the events supporting A. That means probability of A is obviously number of events supporting A is 2 and total number is 4. So half. 2 by 4, that is half. Okay, this is equal to 2 by 4, that is half. Now the events will support B is having H at the second coin, that is TH and HH again. So HH having head in the second coin and TH. Okay. Then again probability of B is also 2 by 4, that is half. And what is C? C will have head only once. So it can be in the first coin, it can be the second coin. So the events will support C is HT and TH. Now let us study whether A, B, C are pairwise independent, mutually independent and mutually exclusive and all these things. So first of all, what is AB? What is AB? A intersection B, that is simultaneous occurrence of A and B both. What I am saying, A intersection B is a common part. That is the simultaneous occurrence of A and B both. So what is the common part? See, A and B, the common part is only HH. So if HH happens, then A is satisfied also, B is satisfied. So probability of AB will be simply 1 by 4 because only one point will be there supporting A and B both. So 1, this HH point. So 1 by 4. And what is PA into PB? PA is half, PB is half. So this is also 1 by 4. So we are having A probability of AB equal to probability of A into probability of B. Similarly, probability of BC, probability of BC, that is probability of BC means having H at the second coin, having only ones. That is again no, not BC, it should be AC. Sorry, it will be AC. Probability at first coin, H as the first coin, at first coin, and C having H only once. So probability of BC, what is the event BC? So B is having H at the second coin and C is having H only once. So B is having HH, TH and C is having HT, TH. So what is the common point? TH. So probability of BC will be 1 by 4 and this is again equal to probability of B into probability of C. Similarly, we can also show probability of AC. Probability of AC is equal to 1 by 4 equal to probability of A into probability of C. So it is proved that AB, AC and BC are all pairwise independent. Okay. Now let's check whether they are mutually independent. What is the condition for mutually independence? Okay. Now let us study the event ABC. So that is the simultaneous occurrence of ABC. So A means, what is A? It was the probability of having H is the first coin, B is probability of having H is the second coin, and C is having H is only once. So obviously, clearly, ABC cannot have any common points because only once is contradictory with having first coin will be H, second coin will be H, and then they are having only one H, getting only one H. These three things cannot happen at the same time. So ABC, this is null event. So probability of ABC should be 0. That means A intersection B intersection C is an impossible event. Okay, having head in the first coin, having head in the second coin, and having only one head. These three things cannot happen at the same time. So ABC is null and probability of ABC is equal to 0. But probability of A into probability of B into probability of C, this is obviously not equal to 0 because PA is already calculated half into half into half. So this is not equal to PA, PB, PC. Since this is equal to half into half, that is 1 by 8. That means they are not mutually independent. They are pairwise independent. Okay, PAB is equal to PA into PB, PBC is equal to PB into PC, PAC is equal to PA into PC. But PABC is not equal to PA into PB into PC. So they are pairwise independent, not mutually independent. And finally, we will show whether they are mutually exclusive or not. Okay. A and B we have already shown they are pairwise independent, but A and B are not mutually exclusive. Why? Because they have some common point. What is the common point? A and B, this is the common point, HH. So they have a common event, HH. Okay, so AB are not mutually exclusive. Similarly, BC are also not mutually exclusive and AC are also not mutually exclusive. So by these two examples, this present example and the last example, it should be very clear to you that this concept of mutual exclusiveness, the concept of pairwise independence and the concept of mutual independence, they are totally different things. They are not, and none of them imply other. So they should be understood clearly. Okay. Okay. Next, we will discuss the dual addition rule. Okay. So the next topic is general addition rule, or this is also called total probability theorem. This is also called or total probability theorem. So the result is shown, the result is established by the method of induction. Okay, we will first establish the rule for 2 sets, then we will generalize to 3 sets, then by the argument of induction theory, principle of induction, we will write down the general case. Okay, let us first show the result, derive the result for 2 sets. So suppose this is the total sample space and there are 2 sets A and B, and these are the common points, this dotted part, and this horizontal part is, this vertical part is A minus AB, and this horizontal part is B minus AB. So this part let us denote by A minus AB. AB is basically A intersection B, and this dotted part is AB, and this horizontal part is B minus AB. Actually our purpose is to using the axioms of the probability theory to derive the result. Now if you take A minus AB, AB and B minus AB are 3 different events. There are also events, so any of any union, intersection or minus of events is also an event. So A minus AB is an event, AB is an event, and B minus AB is also an event. So these 3 events are obviously mutually exclusive. Okay, let it be denoted by, if I denote these things, events are X, Y and Z. So X, Y, Z are mutually exclusive. This is clear from the Venn diagram. So from the general addition rule, what we can write? Probability of X plus Y plus Z, this plus is union, that is equal to, we can write Px plus Py plus Pz, simply by axiom number 3. Remember the axiom number 3, we can write this thing, since X, Y, Z are mutually exclusive. X and Y are denoted by this A minus AB, AB and B minus AB. Okay. Now, so what is Px? That is P of A minus AB plus probability of Y is AB plus probability of B minus AB. Now, probability of A minus AB is obviously is equal to PA minus PB, because this part of even points is subtracted from A. So in that ratio the probability will be subtracted. Okay, so this for the probability for this part will be subtracted from the total probability. So probability of A minus AB is PA minus PAB. Okay, then plus PAB, and obviously again PB minus PAB is PB minus PAB. Remember, all these things are real numbers, so we can have this minus PAB plus AB cancelled. So we have PA plus PB minus PA. So this is the result for 2 sets. Okay. Now we can generalize this thing easily for 3 sets. How we can do this? So not by the Venn diagram, because Venn diagram is a restricted tool. If the number of sets is more than 4, so the diagram itself becomes very complicated. So let us do the thing by simple algebraic operation of set. Okay. Now let probability of, so we are now having 3 sets A, B, C. Now, so A plus B plus C we will calculate. So we can take A plus B, that is A union B, as a single set. So we can write this thing as this way: A plus B as a single set plus C. Okay, I am not, this will mean complement, so it is not complement, it is basically, so let us denote it by bracket, A plus B plus C, this way. Let us write this thing. So A plus B a single set and C another set. So if I express this thing as a union of two sets, so immediately we can apply the first rule. So this will be equal to probability of, by the first result. What is the first result? For two sets, probability of A union B. What is that? X plus Y plus Z. This is basically probability of A union A minus AB union AB and union B minus AB. What is that? This is basically A union B. Basically A union B. So A union B is this. A union B equal to PA plus PB minus PAB we have shown. Now, so in the same light, probability of A plus B plus C will be equal to probability of A plus B, taking this as a single set, plus probability of C minus probability of A plus B intersection C. This we can write from the first result. Now again, probability of A plus B, again from the first result we can write PA plus PB minus PAB, then PC, then minus, now let us calculate this thing, probability of C intersection A plus B. What is C intersection A plus B? Or you can write C intersection A union B. Okay, so this is the, using the distributive law of set, what we have C intersection A union C intersection B, that is AC union BC. So taking AC is a single set and BC is another set, so we can write this is a probability of AC union BC. That is, again using the first result A union B, instead of A and B I am getting AC and BC. So we can write probability of AC plus probability of BC minus probability of AC intersection BC. So since C intersection C is again C, so AC intersection BC is obviously equal to A intersection B intersection C, that is ABC. That is ABC. So this will be A, B, C. So this is equal to, now we can rearrange the term PA plus PB plus PC, okay, then minus PAB minus PAC and plus minus minus PBC. So taking minus common, we have probability of AB plus probability of BC plus probability of AC, and then minus minus plus probability of A, B, C. A, B, C. So this is the result for three sets, for PA plus PB plus PC minus PAB plus PBC plus PAC within a bracket, again plus PABC. So there is a pattern, obvious pattern. So we start with the sum of all probability of the all individual ABC, okay, and the sign of the term is plus. Then again the sign changes to minus and we take the sum of the probability of two of them taken at a time out of the total number of sets. So if there is three sets, so two at a time, AB, AC and BC, okay. So these are the possible combinations AB, AC, BC. So probability of all these things and overall minus sign, then again changes the sign plus, and probability of taking 3 out of 3 at a time, so ABC. Taking ABC from ABC, that can be done in only one way, so PABC. So we can write down the general result in this way. We are not doing the same calculation for 4 set or 5 set, the thing will be too much complicated and big. So we are avoiding the rigorous calculation, but following this pattern we can write down very obviously probability of A1 union A2 union up to an, this is equal to, first of all, plus of summation of probability of ai 1 to n. Okay, so sum of probabilities of individual events and the overall term is sign is plus, then sign is changed to minus, then summation of probability of ai aj, the probability of the intersection of two, taking two at a time out of the n, so this will be I not equal to j equal to 1 to n. I not equal to j equal to 1. That means I not will equal to j, and running both of them will be both of them will be running from 1 to n. That means a1 a2 a1 a3 a2 a3 this way. Then again the sign will be plus, and the sum of all three ai aj ak. So I not equal to j not equal to k equal to 1 to n. That means probability of a1 a2 a3 a1 a2 a4 a2 a3 a4 this way, all possible combinations, 3 taken 3 at a time from n. So following this way, finally minus 1 whole to the power, if n is even, see, if n is even, the last term will be minus. If n is the number of set, n is odd, then the last term will be plus. So minus 1 to the power n plus 1. So if n is even, this will be odd, so it will be minus sign, and n is odd, this will be even, that will give you plus sign. So probability of a1 a2 an, taken all at a time plus. So this is the general addition rule or total probability theorem, and this is of immense importance in solving the examples of probability. Later we will use it frequently along with the concept of equally likely, pairwise independent, and the complement of a set. This thing will help you to solve problems. Okay. So let us conclude here for today. Thank you.